Our story begins in the area that is known today as Iraq. Most people today know Iraq from the Iraq War, which involved the U.S. and lasted from 2003 until 2011. Though it cost billions of dollars and thousands of lives, many Americans still don't know where Iraq is. Located in the northeastern edge of the Arabian Peninsula, Iraq used to be a territory of the Ottoman Empire. Iraq used to be made up of 3 self-governed provinces known as vilayets. These were the vilayets of Mosul, Baghdad, and Basra, each with their own cultures and social hierarchies. They each had their own respective lands, up until after World War I, when the British defeated the Ottoman Empire and carved up their territory, lumping them all together into one singular Iraq. The 3 groups living in Iraq at the time were the Sunnis, Shiites, and a very small population of Kurds and Christians in the north. Each of the groups had their own traditions, and though they did not always agree, they left each other alone. The vilayets under Ottoman control were self-governed and allowed to practice their own faiths. At the time, Britain was still a very powerful colonial empire and was snatching up countries for their natural resources and land. During the League of Nations division of the Ottoman Empire after World War I, Britain was given control of the Arabian Peninsula, and instead of leaving each of the group's territories to be governed by themselves, they lumped all 3 of the groups living in Iraq together under one single Iraq in 1920. Westerners began to generalize the 3 groups as just one Iraqi people, and within themselves, the 3 began to argue and fight over their differences. The British colonists began to quickly strip them of their cultural identities. The Iraqi people began to argue and rebel against their British leaders, and Britain knew that they would lose control unless they did something soon. So, in response, Britain put the Arabian leader of Syria, Prince Faisal, in charge of Iraq. Faisal acted in accordance with Britain's wishes, and therefore they let him remain in control of the country. Faisal began to respect the old cultures of each of the groups before the British takeover, and he himself was also an Arabian Muslim. The British were very pleased with Faisal's ruling and allowed Iraq to become an independent state in 1932, as long as they signed an agreement with the Anglo-Persian Petroleum Company. The period of peace and prosperity that Faisal had brought to Iraq was short-lived, as he died of an unexpected heart attack in 1933. After Faisal's death, many feared a period of political instability for Iraq. This fear became a reality after a series of political coups left a group of rebel Sunnis in charge of the country, allowing them to oppress the other two groups living there. Iraq went through a series of oppressive rebel governments over the next few decades, until being taken over by the dictator Saddam Hussein in the late 1970s. We now turn our attention away from Iraq and to a country directly to its south, Kuwait. Kuwait was a small fishing town located in the southeastern area of the Arabian Desert. Kuwait was also once a previous territory of the Ottoman Empire. The area was ruled by the Kuwaiti al-Sabah family, which was led by Mubarak al-Sabah. Unlike the Ottoman territories to the north, when Great Britain was given control of Kuwait, they signed with the al-Sabah family a protectorate treaty, allowing Britain to trade and pass through Kuwait unharmed while providing subsidies and protection for the small port nation. Despite a few troublesome rebellions, Britain and Kuwait kept a relatively positive relationship. By 1961, Britain and Kuwait had become excellent trading partners, and through the trade of Kuwaiti petroleum and British modern technology, Britain had allowed Kuwait to become fully independent. But with Britain leaving, so did Kuwait's protective forces. In 1990, Iraqi special forces attacked and invaded Kuwait, annexing it as a territory of Iraq. The war that followed was a result of a multi-billion-dollar debt that Iraq owed Kuwait that they could not pay off. The Kuwaiti military was being annihilated until a NATO-backed coalition led by the United States defeated the Iraqi forces occupying the country and returned Kuwait back to its original owners. Because of America's involvement in the Gulf War, the United States and Kuwait have retained a friendly alliance over the past 2 decades.